My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully. Do not rush past this moment. Do not treat it as just another voice among countless voices competing for your attention. There is a reason your eyes have found these words today. There is a reason you paused, even if only for a second. And there is a reason something inside you feels drawn to stay a little longer. You may think this is ordinary. You may think this is coincidence. You may tell yourself that this appeared in front of you by chance. But I want you to know that not everything in your life is random. Not every encounter is accidental. Not every interruption is meaningless. There are moments that carry a deeper purpose, moments arranged with care, moments prepared long before you were aware of them. And this is one of those moments. Before you continue, I need you to understand something. I know where you have been. I know the questions you have been carrying. I know the concerns you have tried to push to the back of your mind. I know the burdens you rarely speak about. I know the quiet battles that have exhausted your heart. I know the nights when your thoughts refused to rest. I know the mornings when you woke up already feeling weary. I know the times you smiled for others while hiding your pain from the world. Nothing about your journey has escaped my sight. Nothing about your story is hidden from me. That is why I am speaking to you now. Not because I want to frighten you, not because I want to condemn you, but because I love you too much to remain silent when your heart needs direction. My beloved child, have you ever wondered why certain moments seem to arrive at exactly the right time? Have you ever looked back and realized that something you almost ignored ended up becoming deeply important? Timing matters more than you realize. There are seasons when I comfort. There are seasons when I restore. There are seasons when I strengthen. And there are seasons when I gently interrupt your routine because there is something you need to hear before you take another step forward. This is such a season. This is not about fear. This is about awareness. This is not about punishment. This is about love. This is not about looking backward with regret. This is about seeing clearly so you can move forward with wisdom. That is why I brought you here. That is why your attention was drawn to this moment. You have been asking for guidance in ways you may not even recognize. Some of those prayers never left your lips. Some of them were hidden inside your heart. Some of them sounded like confusion. Some of them sounded like frustration. Some of them sounded like silence. Yet I heard every one of them. I heard the questions behind your tears. I heard the longing behind your disappointment. I heard the hope that remained alive even when you felt discouraged. And because I heard you, I am answering you. My child, do not dismiss what is happening right now. Do not assume there is no purpose here. There is a reason this moment feels different. There is a reason your attention keeps returning. There is a reason your spirit senses that something important is unfolding. I have not brought you here to shame you. I have not brought you here to remind you of your failures. I have not brought you here to burden you with guilt. I have brought you here because there are things you need to see clearly. There are truths that will help you. There are lessons that can protect you. There are hidden places in your heart that need my light. And before healing can fully begin, awareness must come first. Before restoration can take root, truth must be welcomed. Before freedom can be experienced, understanding must arrive. So, stay close for a little longer. Quiet the noise around you. Let your heart become still. Let your spirit listen. Because what follows is not arriving by accident. This is a divine appointment. This is a moment prepared with purpose. This is a message wrapped in love. And before this conversation is finished, you may begin to understand why I allowed this exact moment, this exact timing, and this exact encounter to cross your path today. My child, before you can understand what has been weighing down your spirit, you must first be honest about how tired you have become. Not just physically tired, not the kind of exhaustion that sleep can fix. I am speaking about the deeper weariness that settles quietly into the heart, the kind that follows you from one day to the next, the kind that lingers even when everything around you appears normal. I see it. I see the emotional fatigue you rarely talk about. I see how hard you have been trying to hold everything together. I see the pressure you place on yourself to keep moving, to keep smiling, to keep functioning, even when part of you feels empty. There have been moments when you wanted someone to notice how much you were carrying, not because you wanted attention, but because you were tired of carrying it alone. Yet instead of speaking about it, you learned to hide it. You learned to say that you were fine when your heart was struggling. You learned to say that everything was okay when deep inside you felt overwhelmed. You learned to keep going because stopping felt impossible. My beloved child, I know about the silent struggles no one else sees. I know about the conversations that happen inside your mind when the room becomes quiet. I know about the questions that return late at night. The questions you never seem to find answers for. The worries that circle endlessly through your thoughts. The disappointments you keep revisiting even when you wish you could let them go. I know how exhausting it is to carry hope and discouragement at the same time, to keep believing while feeling worn down, to keep showing up while wondering how much longer you can continue. You have been carrying hidden pain that others cannot see because it does not leave visible marks. It lives in your thoughts. It lives in your memories. It lives in the places where disappointment settled and never fully left. Sometimes you wonder why small things affect you so deeply. Sometimes you wonder why certain words linger for days. Sometimes you wonder why your heart feels heavy, even when there is no obvious reason. But the truth is that exhaustion rarely comes from one moment. It comes from many moments. It comes from carrying concerns for too long. It comes from carrying responsibilities that never seem to end. It comes from trying to be strong for everyone else while quietly neglecting your own wounded places. I see the emotional weight of unanswered questions. I see the burden of expectations. I see the frustration of trying your best and still feeling uncertain. I see the loneliness that can exist even when people surround you. I see the ache that comes from feeling misunderstood. I see the sadness you try to push aside because you do not want it to slow you down. My child, there have been days when you felt emotionally drained before the day even began. Days when your energy disappeared faster than you could replenish it. Days when your mind felt crowded with concerns and your heart felt stretched in too many directions. You kept moving. You kept trying. You kept carrying more than you were meant to carry. And little by little, the exhaustion settled deeper into your spirit. I know about the hidden disappointments you rarely mention, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the opportunities that slipped away, the relationships that changed, the expectations that were never fulfilled. You may not think about these things every day, but they still occupy space within your heart. They still whisper when life becomes quiet. They still influence the way you see yourself and the way you see your future. My beloved child, I am not overlooking any of it. I am not unaware of your hidden pain. I am not distant from your silent struggle. I know how hard you have been fighting to keep hope alive while carrying emotional fatigue that others cannot see. I know how exhausting it is to keep moving forward when your heart feels weary. And even now, as you listen, I want you to understand one simple truth. Your pain has been seen. Your exhaustion has been seen. Your silent struggle has been seen. Nothing you have carried has escaped my notice, and nothing about your weary heart is invisible to me. And as you sit with that truth, another question begins to rise beneath the surface. If the exhaustion is real, if the hidden pain is real, then what has been feeding it for so long? My child, many of the heaviest burdens in your life did not begin with circumstances. They began with beliefs, quiet beliefs, invisible beliefs, thoughts repeated so many times that they started to feel like truth. And little by little, without even realizing it, you began to build parts of your life around them. Perhaps one of those beliefs sounds like this: you are forgotten. You look around and see other people moving forward while you feel stuck. You see prayers answered for others while your own requests seem delayed. You see doors opening for them while you continue waiting. And after enough disappointments, a whisper begins to form. Maybe God remembers everyone except me. Maybe I have been overlooked. Maybe I do not matter as much as I hoped. My beloved child, that thought may feel real, but feeling something does not make it true. Another belief may have quietly settled into your heart. You are not enough, not talented enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough, not faithful enough, not successful enough. You compare yourself to others and always seem to come up short. You measure your life against impossible standards, and then wonder why your heart feels exhausted. You keep trying to earn a sense of worth that can never be earned through performance. And because of that, Every mistake feels larger. Every failure feels heavier. Every setback feels personal. Then there is the belief that nothing will ever change. This one is especially dangerous because it disguises itself as realism. It tells you that hope is foolish. It tells you that disappointment is inevitable. It tells you to expect less so you will hurt less. But what it really does is quietly drain the courage from your spirit. It convinces you to stop expecting good things. It teaches you to protect yourself from hope. My child, I have watched these false beliefs grow in the shadows. I have seen how fear has attached itself to them. Fear whispers that you are alone. Fear whispers that you are falling behind. Fear whispers that your future is smaller than your heart once imagined. Fear whispers that your best days are already gone. And because fear speaks so often, self-doubt begins to sound reasonable. You start questioning your value. You start questioning your purpose. You start questioning whether your life truly matters. But I want you to notice something. These beliefs never bring peace. They never bring rest. They never bring healing. They only create more confusion, more anxiety, more emotional fatigue. They ask you to carry burdens you were never created to carry. They keep you trapped in cycles of discouragement. My child, I know exactly how these thoughts entered your life. Some were born from disappointment. Some were born from rejection. Some were born from seasons of waiting. Some were born from wounds that never fully healed. Yet no matter where they came from, they all have one thing in common. They have been speaking louder than love, louder than grace, louder than hope. And for a long time, you have been listening to them without realizing how much influence they gained over your heart. This is why your spirit has felt so tired. Not because you are weak, not because you have failed, but because you have been fighting battles against false beliefs that were never meant to define you. And before your life can move in a healthier direction, you must first recognize the hidden voices that have been shaping the way you see yourself, the way you see your future, and even the way you see me. My child, now that you have begun to recognize the hidden beliefs that have been weighing upon your heart, I want you to see something that may surprise you. The way you see yourself is not the way I see you. The story you tell yourself is not the story I am telling about you. The conclusions you have reached during moments of fear and exhaustion are not the conclusions I have reached as I have watched over your life. You look at yourself and often see weakness. I look at you and see endurance. You look at yourself and see how many times you struggled. I look at you and see how many times you refuse to give up. You look at yourself and focus on what is unfinished. I look at you and see growth that is already taking place beneath the surface. My beloved child, you have spent so much time measuring yourself by what you have not achieved that you rarely stop to notice how far you have come. You see the mountain still ahead of you, but I see the miles you have already traveled. You see the prayers that have not yet been answered, but I see the faith that continued praying even through uncertainty. You see your moments of doubt, but I see the courage it took to keep moving forward despite those doubts. There is so much about your journey that you do not fully recognize because growth often happens quietly. Growth rarely announces itself. It develops in hidden places. It forms during ordinary days. It takes root during seasons when you feel like nothing is happening at all. Yet while you have been worrying that you are standing still, I have seen unseen growth taking place within you. I have seen patience developing where frustration once ruled. I have seen compassion growing where bitterness could have taken hold. I have seen wisdom forming through experiences you never would have chosen for yourself. I have seen strength emerging through challenges that seemed impossible at the time. My child, there were moments when you believed you were falling apart, but I saw you becoming stronger. There were seasons when you believed you were losing ground, but I saw roots growing deeper. There were days when you thought your progress had stopped, but I saw transformation happening in ways your natural eyes could not yet perceive. You have been looking at your life through the lens of disappointment, while I have been looking at it through the lens of purpose. You have been focused on what is missing, while I have been nurturing what is becoming. You have been worried about your weaknesses, while I have been cultivating hidden strength within you, and that hidden strength is far greater than you realize. It is the reason you are still here. It is the reason hope has not completely disappeared. It is the reason your heart still longs for healing even after difficult seasons. My beloved child, You are not the person fear says you are. You are not the person self-doubt says you are. You are not the person your worst moments try to convince you that you are. I see beyond the mistakes. I see beyond the disappointments. I see beyond the temporary struggles. I see the person I created with love. I see the resilience that has carried you through storms. I see the kindness you continue to show despite your own pain. I see the faith that remains alive even when questions remain unanswered. Most of all, I see someone who is still growing, someone who is still becoming, someone whose story is far from finished. So when you look at yourself and only see flaws, remember that my perspective is different. When you look at yourself and only see weakness, remember that I see hidden strength. When you look at yourself and only see delays, remember that I see unseen growth. And when you wonder whether anything good is happening in your life, remember that I have been working in places you cannot yet see, nurturing things that will one day reveal just how much progress was taking place, even during the seasons when you thought nothing was changing at all. My child, now that you are beginning to see yourself through my eyes, there is another question resting quietly within your heart. Why has the journey taken so long? Why have some prayers remained unanswered? Why have certain doors stayed closed? Why have you found yourself standing in a season of waiting that seems far longer than you ever expected? I know these questions because I have heard them many times before. I have heard them in your moments of frustration. I have heard them in your moments of confusion. I have heard them in the silent conversations you have carried within yourself, and I want you to understand something important. Waiting is not the same as being forgotten. Waiting is not proof of abandonment. Waiting is not evidence that I have turned away from you. Many times, what feels like delay is actually preparation. What feels like silence is often a process unfolding beneath the surface. Think of a seed planted deep in the ground. The moment it disappears beneath the soil, it may seem as though nothing is happening. Day after day, the ground looks unchanged. Week after week, there is no visible sign of growth. Yet hidden beneath the surface, something remarkable is taking place. Roots are forming, strength is developing, life is preparing itself for what is coming next. My beloved child, you often judge your progress by what you can see, but much of the most important growth in life happens where human eyes cannot observe it. The roots must grow before the branches can rise. The foundation must be strengthened before greater responsibility can be carried. The heart must be prepared before certain blessings can be fully received. This is why some seasons feel slow. This is why some answers seem delayed. This is why the process often takes longer than you hoped. Not because I enjoy making you wait. Not because I delight in your frustration. But because I see the full picture while you only see a small part of the journey. You see the present moment. I see the destination. You see the waiting season. I see the person you are becoming through it. There have been things growing inside you during this process that could not have developed any other way. Patience has been growing. Wisdom has been growing. Compassion has been growing. Dependence upon me has been growing. Even your faith has been growing in ways you do not fully recognize. Every season has a purpose. Spring is not summer. Summer is not autumn. Autumn is not winter. Yet each season contributes something necessary to the life of the tree. In the same way, every season of your life carries lessons, preparation, and growth that will eventually serve a greater purpose. My child, I know waiting can feel uncomfortable. It can test your confidence. It can challenge your understanding. It can make you wonder whether progress is happening at all. But do not mistake hidden growth for inactivity. Do not mistake preparation for rejection. Do not mistake process for punishment. The roots being developed within you today will support blessings that are still ahead. The strength being formed within you today will help you carry opportunities that are still coming. The healing taking place within you today will allow you to walk into future seasons with greater peace than you have ever known. And one day, when you look back upon this chapter of your life, you may discover that what felt like an endless season of waiting was actually a sacred season of preparation. A season where unseen growth was quietly transforming you into someone stronger, wiser, deeper, and more ready than you ever realized. My child, if you could step outside of your current circumstances for a moment and look at your journey from a higher perspective, you might begin to notice something remarkable. You have been so focused on where you are trying to go that you have not fully recognized who you are becoming along the way. You have been measuring progress by external results, while some of the most important transformation has been happening within you. The question is no longer only about what you are waiting for. The deeper question is this: what is being built inside you during the wait? Who are you becoming through the process? There was a time when frustration would have controlled your reactions more quickly. Yet now there are moments when you pause, reflect, and respond with greater wisdom. There was a time when every obstacle felt like proof that something was wrong. Yet now you have learned that difficulties do not always mean defeat. They often become teachers. They reveal strengths you did not know existed. They expose weaknesses that need attention. They create opportunities for growth that comfort never could. My beloved child, wisdom is being formed within you. Not the kind that comes from reading books alone, not the kind that comes from gathering information, the kind that comes from experience, the kind that develops when expectations are challenged, the kind that emerges when life does not unfold exactly as planned. Wisdom grows when you learn that not every closed door is a loss. Wisdom grows when you discover that timing matters. Wisdom grows when you begin to value understanding more than immediate answers. And alongside wisdom, resilience is being built within you. You may not always feel strong, but strength is not measured by the absence of struggle. Strength is revealed by the willingness to continue despite struggle. Every challenge you have faced has stretched your capacity. Every difficult season has increased your endurance. Every disappointment you survived has proven that you are more resilient than you once believed. The person you are today can carry things that would have overwhelmed the person you used to be. That is growth. That is transformation. Patience is also taking root within you. Few people appreciate patience while it is developing because patience grows slowly. It forms through waiting. It forms through uncertainty. It forms through learning to trust the process when the outcome remains unseen. Yet patience creates stability within the heart. It teaches you how to remain steady when circumstances shift. It teaches you how to continue moving forward without being controlled by urgency or fear. It creates a deeper sense of peace than immediate gratification ever could. And there is something else growing within you: compassion. The challenges you have experienced have changed the way you look at others. Pain has given you greater understanding. Struggle has given you greater empathy. Disappointment has taught you how to recognize the hidden burdens people carry. You have become more gentle in places where you once might have been judgmental, more understanding in places where you once might have been impatient, more aware that every person is fighting battles that cannot always be seen. These qualities are not accidents. They are part of the transformation taking place within you. My child, the process has been shaping your character in ways that external success alone never could. Wisdom, resilience, patience, compassion. These are treasures being formed within your spirit. These are qualities that remain long after circumstances change, long after seasons pass, long after prayers are answered. One day you will realize that the greatest work happening during this chapter was not merely about changing your situation. It was about strengthening your foundation. It was about preparing your heart. It was about forming a version of you that is wiser than before, stronger than before, more patient than before, and more compassionate than before. And as that transformation continues, you are becoming someone capable of carrying future blessings with greater maturity, greater peace, and greater confidence than you ever thought possible. My child, after everything you have heard, after everything you have begun to recognize within yourself, a gentle question remains. What do you do now? What step comes next? The answer is not found in striving harder. It is not found in carrying more pressure. It is not found in forcing every outcome or controlling every detail of your future. The invitation before you is much simpler, yet much deeper. It is an invitation to release what has been weighing down your heart for far too long. There are burdens you were never meant to carry alone. There are fears that have occupied space within your mind for too many seasons. There are disappointments that have quietly shaped your expectations. There are wounds that still influence the way you see yourself and the way you see tomorrow. The first step is not to fight harder. The first step is to let go. Let go of the belief that everything depends upon you. Let go of the pressure to have all the answers. Let go of the constant need to understand every detail before taking the next step. Some of the exhaustion you have experienced has come from trying to carry responsibilities that were never yours to manage. You were not created to live under the weight of constant fear. You were not created to navigate every challenge through your own strength alone. There is freedom in releasing what you cannot control. There is peace in loosening your grip on outcomes that remain uncertain. My beloved child, there is also an invitation to forgive. Not because what happened was acceptable, not because your pain was insignificant, but because bitterness quietly steals energy from the heart. It keeps old wounds alive. It ties your future to moments that should no longer have authority over your life. Forgiveness does not erase the past. It simply removes the power the past has over your present. There are people you may need to release. There are disappointments you may need to release. There may even be parts of your own story that you need to stop holding against yourself. Another invitation stands before you: surrender. This word is often misunderstood. Many think surrender means weakness. Yet true surrender requires courage. It is the decision to stop carrying tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. It is the decision to stop building your life around fear. It is the decision to place your trust beyond what your eyes can currently see. Surrender is not giving up. It is opening your hands instead of clenching them. It is choosing peace over constant striving. It is allowing your heart to rest, even while certain questions remain unanswered. And finally, trust. Not a blind trust that ignores reality. Not a fragile trust that disappears during difficulty. A deeper trust. A steady trust. The kind that grows through seasons, through waiting, through challenges, and through uncertainty. Trust does not require you to know every detail of the journey. It simply asks you to take the next step with confidence rather than fear. My child, you do not need to change everything today. You do not need to solve every problem before the sun rises again. You do not need to carry the entire future on your shoulders. The invitation is much gentler than that. Let go of what is crushing your spirit. Forgive what continues to hold you captive. Surrender what you cannot control. Trust where you cannot yet see. And as you begin to do these things, you may discover that the path forward is not as complicated as you once believed. One decision at a time, one step at a time, one act of trust at a time. The journey ahead does not begin with perfection. It begins with willingness. It begins with an open heart ready to release fear and embrace a deeper peace than it has known before. My child, once you begin to release what has been weighing upon your heart, something beautiful starts to happen. Your eyes slowly lift from what has been behind you toward what may be ahead of you. Not because every question has been answered, not because every challenge has disappeared, but because hope begins to create space within your spirit again. And when hope returns, possibilities return with it. I know there have been moments when the future felt difficult to imagine. There were seasons when discouragement narrowed your vision. Seasons when disappointment convinced you to expect less from life. Seasons when you became so focused on surviving the present that you stopped dreaming about what could come next. Yet the future is not as empty as fear has tried to make it appear. There are chapters of your story that have not yet been written. There are opportunities that have not yet arrived. There are conversations you have not yet had. There are relationships that have not yet been formed. There are lessons that will bring understanding. There are experiences that will bring joy. There are moments of restoration that cannot be seen from where you stand today. My beloved child, the horizon always contains more than the eye can currently perceive. When a traveler stands on a long road, they can only see a portion of the journey ahead. Yet the road continues far beyond what is visible in that moment. In the same way, your understanding of tomorrow is limited, but the possibilities before you are greater than you realize. This is why fear should never be trusted as a prophet of the future. Fear only speaks about what might go wrong. Hope reminds you that many beautiful things remain possible. There is a new chapter waiting beyond this season. Not a perfect chapter, not a chapter without challenges, but a chapter shaped by everything you have learned. A chapter entered with greater wisdom, greater resilience, greater patience, greater compassion than before. The growth taking place within you today is preparing you to step into opportunities you may not yet recognize. Sometimes restoration arrives quietly. It does not always announce itself with dramatic change. Sometimes it begins with a renewed sense of purpose. Sometimes it begins with unexpected peace. Sometimes it begins with the courage to try again after disappointment. Sometimes it begins with a single open door that appeared impossible only months earlier. Restoration often starts small before it becomes visible. My child, there may also be breakthroughs ahead that look different than you imagined. Many people spend years waiting for one specific outcome while overlooking the many ways progress is already unfolding around them. A breakthrough is not always an event. Sometimes it is a new perspective. Sometimes it is freedom from an old fear. Sometimes it is the ability to move forward without carrying the weight of the past. Sometimes it is finally believing that your story still holds purpose. The future before you contains possibilities that cannot yet be measured. New opportunities to grow. New opportunities to serve. New opportunities to learn. New opportunities to experience peace in places that once felt uncertain. Do not assume that the best parts of your journey belong only to the past. Do not assume that because one season was difficult, every season will be the same. Life moves through chapters. Seasons change. New beginnings emerge where endings once stood. And as you continue taking one faithful step at a time, you may discover that what once looked like a closed landscape was actually the doorway into a new chapter filled with restoration, opportunity, growth, and hope that you could not yet see from where you were standing. My child, as this moment comes to a close, I do not want you to leave carrying the same weight you brought with you. I do not want you to walk away believing that your story is defined by your fears, your disappointments, or the seasons that tested your strength. Instead, I want you to remember what has been placed before your heart today. Remember that not every delay is a denial. Remember that growth often happens where human eyes cannot see it. Remember that some of the most important work taking place in your life is happening beneath the surface, quietly shaping your character, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what lies ahead. My beloved child, there will still be days when questions arise. There will still be moments when uncertainty tries to return. There will still be times when you cannot clearly see the next step. But when those moments come, do not measure your future by your temporary emotions. Do not allow fear to become the narrator of your story. Return instead to the truths that bring peace. You have grown more than you realize. You have endured more than you acknowledge. You have learned lessons that will serve you well in the chapters ahead. The wisdom developing within you is real. The resilience within you is real. The patience taking root within you is real. The compassion formed through your journey is real. None of it has been wasted. None of it has been meaningless. Every season has contributed something valuable to the person you are becoming. As you move forward, carry hope with you. Not a fragile hope dependent upon perfect circumstances, but a steady hope that remains even when the path is not fully visible. Carry peace with you, not the kind that comes from having every answer, but the kind that comes from knowing you do not need every answer today. Carry trust with you, one step at a time, one day at a time, one decision at a time. Let your heart rest from the pressure of trying to control everything. Let your mind rest from rehearsing every possible outcome. Let your spirit breathe again. There is no need to rush. There is no need to force what is meant to unfold in its proper season. My child, may your thoughts be filled with greater clarity. May your heart be strengthened when challenges arise. May your spirit remain steady during seasons of waiting. May wisdom guide your decisions. May patience guard your peace. May compassion continue to shape the way you walk through this world. And may you never forget that growth is still happening, even when progress feels slow. The road ahead may not always be easy, but it is not empty. There are still opportunities to discover. There are still lessons to learn. There are still moments of restoration to experience. There are still reasons to hope. So walk forward with courage. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with quiet confidence. Release what no longer belongs to you. Hold tightly to what is true. And remember this simple truth whenever doubt tries to return. The season you are in is not the final chapter of your story. Keep moving forward, keep growing, keep trusting, and keep believing that what is being built within you today is preparing you for a tomorrow far greater than you can currently see.